Hey hunters, I've come to the British Museum to check out what they've got because I can't leave the country yet, and until I can, I'm gonna go and see this stuff because it turns out like there is so much ancient stuff in the British Museum. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I definitely think it should be returned to its country of origin. But while it's here, let's have a look at it. First off, I just wanted to show you guys how amazing the actual museum architecture is. And it's just gorgeous and really cool, and it looks like it's both historical but also in the year like 3092. Love it. So one of the first things I see is that they have an original Moai statue here in the British Museum. I don't know how I feel about it, but what's crazy is look at the behind of it. Look at the behind. It's entirely carved. And it's been here in the British Museum the whole time. How did I not know that it was carved from behind? Okay, I did a whole video on Easter Island and the connections with the Moai statues and the carvings on the back and how they possibly are linked to Göbekli Tepe and the carvings that you find there. They are crazily similar, so go watch that video if you want to have the whole backstory. Just pointing out, there's a face that's like on the butt, and the mouth hole, they've like filled it with wood. Don't know why. That's there. It says on the statue that the indigenous people of Easter Island have asked for it back, and the British Museum have sent people over to have a talk about that, which probably means no. I think it should definitely be sent back to Easter Island. It's not with its buddies. Right, what is the next way? Okay, I can't actually talk that well inside the museum because it's shh. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get loads of footage and then I'm gonna talk over it later. Now, these things are pretty cool. If you didn't know what you were looking at, then you wouldn't know what you were looking at. These are carved stone pots. They are not pottery. They are literally carved out of some of the hardest stones that we know of, and they are so symmetrical and they are so precise. They look like a 3D rendering of some sort of laser cut technology. They are immensely immaculate. And what is really cool is that they only appear at the very, very, very earliest dynasties in Egypt. They were buried with the very early dynastic Egyptians, and they were never ever replicated again. You can literally see, as you walk around the museum, that the later pots and the pottery that was to come is of a completely different quality and standard, and still beautiful, but just not this kind of machine-made, crazy precise stuff. And they were big. I mean, this dude here, look at how huge he is, and you can see the kind of machining marks inside, and it's very exciting if you know what you're looking at. There was about 40,000 of these pots, vases, trays, bowls. They were buried in Saqqara, and again, they were attributed to the early dynastic Egyptians. But in my personal opinion, I do not believe that these were made by the Egyptians. I believe that they were inherited by the early Egyptians and are a legacy artifact from something or someone before. And that's why that they could try and replicate but never could get the standard because they just didn't have the tools. They didn't have the tools, and these are the tools that they did have, and I can tell you with science that these tools did not make these objects. So there is a big, shiny, red flag sitting in the British Museum about ancient technology. So then I went to the Egyptian sculpture part of the museum, which is pretty impressive. I mean, this stuff is huge. It's huge. And I spotted a couple of things. So this dude here, He is gorgeous. What an amazing sculpture. It is so smooth still after thousands of years. But what to me is starkly obvious is that the cartouche, the name that has been inscribed on this thing, was clearly not done by the person who made the sculpture. If you look at the detail on the sculpture, the detail of the face, the symmetry, the polish, and then the cartouche is like this really rough name that's been scratched on in the center of the chest, but it's not quite even. And then there's like a second name a bit higher up on the top part of the arm or the chest. I would bet money that these are like two different names of two different pharaohs who have tried to say that this was them. This lion was like pretty cool. I haven't seen a lion that was like sitting this way, so casual. It's a candid lion, a casual candid lion. I just thought he was cool. There was a scarab beetle, a large, beautiful, shiny scarab beetle, just like one that is in Karnak. And the one at Karnak, the local tradition there is that if you walk around it 7 times, you become pregnant. So I was just very aware, and I did not walk around this more than once. Because I don't want to be pregnant. Oh, this granite box has these cool like nubs on the end. What are these nubs? I'm gonna do a video about like all the nubs everywhere, because like, what are they?
These statues always amaze and freak me out. They are literally designed to be like looking down on you so that you feel intimidated, and it works, totally works. But the symmetry in the face is really off-putting. Like for me, they don't look quite human. There's something too perfect and symmetrical about it, and I can't understand how by hand the Egyptians supposedly were able to make hundreds of identical statues. If you compare the precision on this statue with other later statues from a different time, why is this better?
Then I found the Rosetta Stone. Quick 101 on this thing. So in 1798, Napoleon and his army were in Egypt. They were on a campaign. They were fighting the British, and it wasn't going well. And the French soldiers noticed when they were fortifying one of the buildings that there was a stone in the wall that had 3 separate languages inscribed onto it, and they thought, this looks pretty special, this looks special, let's rip it out and let's go and show Napoleon. And Napoleon thought it was pretty special too, and he wanted to keep it, and he took it to Cairo. Then the French lost. It was part of the treaty with the British, the peace treaty at the end, that they were going to keep all of the treasures and the trinkets and the artifacts that the French had found in Egypt, and it ended up in the British Museum in 1801. So the 3 languages that are written on it are Egyptian hieroglyph, Egyptian Demotic script, which is kind of like an Egyptian handwriting, and ancient Greek. And the reason why this is like so important to history is up until they found this stone, they had no idea what all the hieroglyphs said in Egypt, because it had been forgotten. Nobody really used it after the 4th century BC. The art was forgotten, and it wasn't until all the way in the 1800s that we could work out what was said. So what does it say? It's kind of a bit disappointing, like what it actually says. It's not like a secret manifest or like a spell book or anything. It is basically like a glorified CV about the ruler at the time, who was called Ptolemy V, and it was in 196 BCE, and it's just talking about how like great a leader he was, and how he administered justice, how he stopped revolt, how he brought prosperity to Egypt. In actual real life, he was assassinated because he was going to start a war with the East. So I feel like they were somewhat bigging him up on this stone. Here is an image of what the stone probably would have looked like. An early prototype of the Rosetta Stone has been found, and it basically says exactly the same thing, just with a different date and like a different ruler's name. So I feel like this was sort of the government newsletter, if you like, that they just sort of sent out. You know, it's a bit of PR. Oh, also in the gift shop, you can get literally Rosetta Stone everything. There was like socks, bags, teacups, everything Rosetta Stone.
Okay, so the British Museum is so big and so interesting. I actually can't even do it all in a day, so I'm going to have to come back, I think, with a better camera and a bit more research. But all in all, it's it's a free day out in London, so if you're here in London, come check it out because it's absolutely free. I don't know why it's called the British Museum, because to be honest, there ain't a lot in there that's British. Let's be real. But I'm kind of grateful that history is being preserved and it's all there, and it's kind of cool, and I got to see the Rosetta Stone. I couldn't find the oldest map in the world. When I come back, I'm going to find the oldest map in the world, which is at the British Museum, and there was loads of stuff from Egypt that I just couldn't find. So this will be a part 1 to be continued. If you are an expert at where stuff is in the British Museum, just let me know in the comments. Just tell me what section I need to go to and what I need to look at, and I will go find it. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. Happy hunting. I'll see you in the next video.